Good to see you. Is this a good
morning,
day?
Kay. I think it is. We stood on an election manifesto in 2019 to use the levers that we were going to have for the first time after leaving the European Union to control net migration. That's what the public want. That's what the public have been voting for at pretty much every general election for 30 years. And now, today, we are truly using those levers. We're pulling them to ensure that we bring down the levels of net migration. This is the biggest ever intervention by any government to reduce the numbers of people coming to our country. And why is that important beyond meeting our manifesto commitment and the trust the public place in us?
It's 229,000, the manifesto commitment.
This matters to us because we want to build a more productive economy where businesses aren't just reaching for the easy lever of foreign labour. We want to help people off welfare and into work. And we want to reduce pressure on housing and public services, and also to build a more socially cohesive and united country, which is difficult, I would argue impossible, when such large numbers of people are coming into the country. And so the package of measures we've announced this week will make a very big difference, a profound impact, at least 300,000 fewer people coming to the country each year.
Yeah, but you will fall short of your manifesto commitment.
Well, I'm committed to the manifesto commitment.
Are you going to reach it?
I think we can. I think what we are setting out here is a path to do that. This will lead to at least a 300,000 reduction. In addition to this, there are other factors at play, such as...
still more than 150,000.
Well, there are other factors at play as well, because you're seeing the large numbers of Ukrainians and Hong Kongers and Afghans who've come to the country in recent years. Those numbers are starting to flow through the system, leading to a further reduction. And I'd say this, Kay, this matters a great deal to me and to the government. And so if we need to do more, we will, because we're committed to reducing net migration. And so if there are further steps we have to take in the months ahead, then we will do.
Why not?
But people should be in no doubt that this is a very big first step.
Why not?
Well, we have been preparing this package for some time. We've seen...
Nothing to do with you going on to an election footing?
Not at all. I mean, I've been speaking...
You hesitated then, Minister.
No, I've been speaking about this, as you know, including on your programme, for as long as I've been in this role. All of us in government care about meeting this manifesto commitment. The key reform was leaving the European Union. That gave us the power to do this. We then did have a period of great flux with the pandemic and its immediate aftermath, when the economy and public services like the NHS were under immense pressure. But now is the right moment for us to really grip this challenge and to bring into play some very, very substantial, I would argue, the most fundamental reforms to our immigration system.
Looking at these
for many
massive
years.
numbers, I mean, is it... The boats, we hear a lot about the boats, but surely you are it's about 40,000 less than that at the moment. That's just a smokescreen over here compared to these massive numbers that we're talking about. Why bother sending the Home Secretary to make a big deal in Rwanda today?
Well, they're two different but interconnected challenges. The first one we've been talking about is legal migration. Those are people coming to our country perfectly legally, and we want to ensure that the rules are the right ones so that we have an immigration system that the public can have confidence in. The second one is about illegal migration. I think it's profoundly wrong for people to be entering our country illegally on small boats. Well, according to the law, okay, the law says you can't enter the country illegally. If you or I crossed an international border or literally broke into another country, we would expect to be treated very seriously.
They broke into another country, are you? The people who come on small boats?
I am, yeah.
That's the phraseology you're happy to use, Minister?
I am. If somebody comes into our country on a small boat,
are breaking into our country.
Yes, they're coming into our country in flagrant breach of our immigration rules. That is wrong. I think it's doing untold damage to our country. That's why we're determined to stop it. We have made a lot of progress over the course of this year. The numbers coming out of small boats have reduced by around a third.
So why do we need to send them to Rwanda?
Because we want to go further. The public don't expect us just to reduce their numbers by a third, although that is amongst the best records of any European country. They want us to stop this in its entirety.
But you haven't managed to do that.
Well, that's why. But that is why we want to do. That's why we want to get this plan up and running.
Are you confident that planes will take off to Rwanda before the next election?
I am, but we will need to do a few things to achieve that. The treaty that the Home Secretary is going to sign later today, I hope, will create a fundamentally different and better arrangement with the government of Rwanda that answers the concerns of the Supreme Court. And then we're going to bring forward a piece of emergency legislation which will embed that in British UK law and go further to close some of the loopholes that bring spurious claims and prevent migrants from being put on those planes. Together, I think that will enable us to get this plan up and running. And this is a plan that is absolutely critical to getting levels down, to really securing our borders, and one which is now being looked at by a range of other European countries who share our determination to tackle this issue and understand that mass migration is one of the big challenges of the 21st century. You have to grip it. There's no way you can just duck this or hope it doesn't exist.
Let's just go into a few of those 5 points, if we may. We don't have a lot of time. Britain's married to a non-native partner won't be able to bring them to the UK unless the UK citizen earns £38,700. So if you're married to somebody but they don't earn that sort of money, but you're a British citizen, you can't bring your partner in.
Well, these are rules that haven't been updated for 10 years, and so we're updating them.
So
not quite, Kay, no, because you can apply earnings and savings. But the principle behind this is a long-standing one, which is that we think that if you want to bring a dependent to come and live in the UK, you should be able to support them financially and not knowingly be a drain on the taxpayer. Of course, there's always a safety net. That's the country we live in. But you should have an expectation that you can support that person in their new life in the UK.
We can't go through each of the 5 points because we don't have time, but let me just use this as an illustration, if I might. 95% of visas granted for chefs and managers last year, they would not be able to come in if this 38,700 figure was in place.
Well, we want to ensure that British companies are training and investing in British workers. That is fundamentally important to our country. There are millions of people who are on welfare or economically inactive. You heard Mel Stride just the other day at the autumn statement. This morning,
get off your bottom and go and do these jobs.
I'm saying there's a moral question here that we want to help people off welfare and into work rather than reaching for the easy lever of foreign labour. And we also want companies to be investing in their workforce, paying them higher wages. We're just raising the national living wage, investing in apprenticeships and skills, things this government has been promoting since we first came to power in 2010. An economy which is solely based on bringing foreign labour into the UK is not a sustainable path to prosperity.
Voters need to be careful what they wish for because they're going to have to go and do these jobs.
Well, people do whichever job they want to do, okay? We're not telling people to do particular jobs. What we're saying is we would rather a British company was training and investing in their own workforce rather than reaching to bring foreign labour into the UK. And we certainly don't think that it's healthy for the economy to be undercutting the wages of British workers by paying them 20% less than their British counterparts, which is what the rules currently allow. We're changing that so that if you do bring workers over, they have to be paid the same.
That particular aspect. I think Labour in March step with you on that one. We're almost out of time. The UN's warned of an even more hellish scenario in southern Gaza. Your thoughts?
Well, all our thoughts are with people living in Gaza. We want this conflict to come to an end as soon as possible. The best way to achieve that is for Hamas to release the remaining hostages, which they're continuing to hold, and for Israel to succeed in eradicating terrorism there. That is the foundation stone for peace in Gaza, in Israel, in the West Bank, and would be a good thing for the whole world.
Do you share the UN's concerns about what's happening in Gaza at the moment?
Of course. We want to see more humanitarian aid, supplies and medicines get into Gaza. We have put millions of pounds at the disposal of the United Nations and other organisations. We're working diplomatically. David Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, was in Israel only the other day, urging more humanitarian access. And he's very, of course, we all feel that any loss of life is a tragedy. But what I would say is that the root of this problem is Hamas. And so Israel has to be allowed to eradicate Hamas. And only by doing that can we secure peace and a sustainable future for people in Gaza and in Israel.
OK. When's the next election going to be?
You need to get the Prime Minister on the show.
OK, anytime. I'm sure he's watching you. Morning, Prime Minister. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you.